So are we supposed to start the podcast?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I mean,
Nailed it.
it is a big day in the big city.
Big clap to bring us on. I'm really proud of it.
From a big star.
I don't know about that.
All right. Pumps, what have you had it with?
Okay, what I've had it with, and I know I'm an offender, is when you're walking and somebody walks on the back of your foot. They like come up behind you and walk on the back of your foot. And I do it to you in airports.
All the time.
And I hate it when somebody does it to me. And you're always super gracious about it because I always, well, of course, might be a stretch. But if it's happened to me over the weekend like 4 times, and it was just all I could do, not just turn around and bitch slap somebody. So I'm making an effort. I'm going to make a pledge that I'm not going to do that anymore because I hate it. I've had it with it. It's unnecessary, and I know I do it, and I'm going to do better. So it's a cell phone, and I've had it.
I think it was missing one ingredient.
What?
An apology.
I always apologize. I'm so sorry.
I'm kidding.
No,
Here's the thing. I know you don't mean to do it.
No,
I know it's not intentional. And, you know, we're always schlepping through airports, hauling our stuff, going from point A to point B. And you're always like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm just like, it's fine. You know, it's just, for me, there's so much shit that goes down in an airport that irritates me. You stepping on the back of my shoe or my heel is the least irritating out of all of the things that I have to endure in an airport.
Well, when you put it like that, that's true. But I get so irritated by it. So I thought about that. I was like, that's my habit, and I fucking do it every time to Jennifer. So I'm going to really, that's my airport resolution.
How did you react when this happened to you 4 times this weekend?
I was fine about it the first couple times. The third time I looked back and gave a dirty look. And the 4th time I was like, quit stepping on my fucking feet. Back up.
Who was it?
My daughter.
Oh, okay.
So that made it especially more irritating.
Yeah.
But I'm turning over a new leaf. We'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah.
Probably not very long.
Yeah, you have a very selfish approach to walking in group settings. Psst. Yeah, like you just take off away from the group. And when I say group, it's like me, you, and Kylie.
Right.
And then nobody knows where you are. Recently, we were at a basketball game. I mean, thousands upon thousands of people. Nobody knew where you were.
You know what also is? I have a lack of observing my surroundings. I'm just walking and then I'm like, oh, the person in front of me stopped. Like I'm not paying attention to I don't pay attention to my surroundings.
I'll tell you what irritates me is when you're walking and there's a flow of walkable traffic. Mm-hmm. You're in a subway tunnel, you're on a sidewalk, you're at a basketball game, you're at an airport, and there is a definite 2-way flow. And a person stops right in the middle of the flow. And then they might look at their phone or do something. You just about run into them. Mm-hmm. It's like a rear end crash.
Right.
And they don't think maybe I should kind of merge over here to the wall, then stop so that I don't block this walking traffic. And I really despise that because I'm a very fast walker and I almost just back in people.
Right. That happened to me just the other day leaving a basketball game. Somebody just stopped and looked at their phone. Everybody was leaving. There were thousands of people leaving, just dead ass stop. And I was just like, what? Walked around in a real huffy puffy.
Oh, I bet it was a Karen.
It was.
I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow this sidewalk down.
Absolutely.
I bet it was. All right, let me tell you what I've had it with. Convertibles.
Convertibles?
Here's the thing about convertibles. Growing up, it was like, oh my God, Jane Doe got a convertible. And it was like this big thing. When you ride in a convertible, they're miserable.
Miserable.
You're just beaten to a pulp. Your hair's a wreck. It never looks that great. Mm-mm. It doesn't look anything remotely like it does in the movies. You can't hear. You can't really even hear the music. You can't even possibly have a conversation. I think it is the most overrated, automobile ever. And why they're so highly sought after is amazing to me. And I will admit that originally in my youth, I fell prey to the convertible allure. But after having ridden in convertibles and the misery that it is, it's just wind warfare out there in the convertible. I mean, you can't hear a damn thing. Hair looks like shit. Skin's flapping like crazy. And you pay additional funds for this. I don't understand it.
I don't get it either. And that's funny that you said that, because I just watched a movie over the weekend and I was like, I wouldn't get in a convertible to save my life. The number one issue is the wind in your hair. You look like hammered dog shit after you get out. In Oklahoma particularly, there's maybe 5 days a year that it's not too hot or too cold to ride in a convertible. And you see all these people, the first day of spring out in their convertible. And I just think they're miserable. That is the most miserable ride. You can't talk. You can't hear. And I think in my mind growing up, because I too thought, boy, hot girls, they like convertibles.
Right.
They look
That's
great
right.
in convertibles, like sexy, hot, hip. And then, because you kind of feel like in the movies, it's like the wind's kind of a little bit blowing, just enough glossy. You just look perfect. In reality, you look like you've been through a beatdown.
Let's just face it. It's showboating, because everybody looks to the convertible.
Sure.
And then you draw this attention to yourself after you've ridden in it. Your hair looks like shit.
Right.
Your skin is vibrating, especially if you're on the highway. I've been in these convertibles before with friends, and I'm like, can we roll up the windows at least? Which makes it a little bit better. But it is like, there's nothing enjoyable about a convertible except for the image that we have from our youth of somehow just, what was it? Vacation, Chevy Chase Vacation. Do you remember Christy Brinkley? It never looks like that.
Never.
And let's face it, most people that drive convertibles are not supermodels. They're old men going through a midlife crisis that are not very attractive.
Right.
Draws all this attention over to them. You'd rather not have seen it in the first place.
Absolutely. Well, you know what I think every time I see one of those old men in a convertible?
Well, let me guess.
Shrinking. We've got some shrinkage over there in that convertible.
Yeah, I recently saw on YouTube comments, I think it was YouTube, they said, you girls need to quit body shaming men about their penises.
Well, I hate to double down.
Here's the deal. We're probably not going to stop. You're probably right. We probably shouldn't talk about teeny weenies.
Absolutely not.
We approach it from a psychological standpoint, right? That's
Absolutely.
what and here's the thing. The penis has controlled a lot of things. And until the vagina is on equal footing with the penis remains on the table for criticism.
Absolutely.
Teeny weenies at the top of that list. Maybe you're right. Maybe we should be more PC about the teeny weenies. But we're not big people with big ideas.
No.
We're little people like the teeny weenies.
That's right.
That's right.
And I mean, I'm going to say it, but I think the person that made that comment,
teeny weenie.
I mean, who says that?
Just double down.
I double down. I mean, you have to double down.
But back to the convertibles, I'm just going to say I've had it with convertibles.
I've
had it. It's a racket. I don't see attractive people driving them.
Right.
I don't think it's an enjoyable ride. I think it's grandstanding and showboating. I think it is the most overrated vehicle on the streets. I want to be in a car with my noise, with my music, with my ideas, with my air conditioning and or my heat. I don't want to be windblown like I'm in the middle of a fucking dryer.
I agree.
I want no part of any convertible whatsoever. And I think moving forward, I'm not going to ride in any. If any friend has one, I'm just not going to ride in the convertible.
Yeah, I will say I completely 100% agree. I think we've overlooked it.
It's been way overlooked. It's way overrated. Nobody talks about it. Everybody's just like, oh, yeah, it's a dream car. I want to get a convertible. Fuck that.
Fuck that.
Yeah. I want a car with a proper roof. I have a sunroof in my car. Guess how many times I open it?
Never.
Zero. Goose egg.
I used to get
Big
mad.
bagel.
I used to get mad if the car I was buying, like it came with a sunroof, because I was like, I don't want that. It makes me hotter, makes me colder. I want no part of it.
I like the natural light.
Of course you do.
I like the natural light.
Yeah. You're a big natural
Because
light
I'm not
person.
a vampire.
Right. I am a vampire.
You are a vampire.
So I don't love
a vampire that picks on men that have teeny weenies.
Yeah.
Welcome to I've Had It. I'm Jennifer,
I'm Angie.
the biggest ridiculer of the small penis in North America. My co-host, Meemaw. Kylie is our producer. She's here with us today to make sure we don't get in trouble, which I think we already have.
Probably.
Right? Yeah.
I think that was a great had it. I just want to say Jennifer Welch has been nailing her had
She
it.
has.
You always do, and I'm always so impressed.
Thank you.
Brings it.
All right, I've got some reviews for you guys.
Okay.
We're just going to fly through a couple. 5 stars from M. Chud 2004, and it's titled, I'm gay and Jessica's laugh turns me on.
That's good.
And he writes, as said in the title, Jessica turns me on. Sorry, Diana, I'm not into lessies unless you want to peg me. Also, I love the hate chicken and Hobby Lobby. Sorry, Jessica's mom, Linda.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
this one is from Gav R. Camp, 5 stars. And they write, I really want to get my hands all over that Siberian Husky.
Oh, Pops. And her Siberian Husky.
I'm thinking the dog. I just now got
Mm-mm.
No, I think they're talking about your vagina.
got it.
All right, 5 stars, titled Filth. I have never heard this deep of filth come out of 2 middle-aged Southern women. As a strong evangelical Christian, I am deeply offended every single minute of this podcast. I have never missed an episode.
That's a great one.
That's great. You know, it cracks me up that when we see people comment about the cussing, it's always a certain type of people
Right.
every single time. If it's a woman, they're usually middle-aged, probably our demographic, but they are probably conservative leaning politically and for sure religious, and they're offended. And then when it's a man, it is like, you ladies sure are smart. I just sure wish you wouldn't drop so many F-bombs. However, if it's, any other male comedian or podcaster, they would never dream of telling them what language to use.
No.
So you've either got the butthurt Christian women that are mad about the cussing, or the men who think that women should be a particular way, that should not be allowed to say fuck or shit or whatever. And here's also the thing I'm going to say. Your life must be absolutely fantastic, and you must have an incredible ability to drown out major significant problems. If Pumps and I saying fuck riles you up,
Yeah.
good for you.
Well, and the ladylike. It's not ladylike to cuss.
Which is just sexism.
100%.
Right.
And I could cuss like a sailor 30 years ago. I've only honed my craft, and I like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
Sometimes the only word on planet Earth that covers your feeling is fuck.
Agreed.
That's the only word.
Sometimes it is the only word available
Mm-hmm.
to describe a particular feeling or action.
Agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should go on the feelings wheel. What you have to.
It's a great idea.
Great
Pops.
idea.
That's a great idea.
Happiness, grateful, fuck. How do you feel today? I feel fucking awful.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. All right.
Making
The fuck
change.
meter.
A fuck meter.
There you go. The fuck meter. All right. All right. Thank you for reading those, Kylie. It's always good to hear from our listeners, especially the evangelical Christians that listen to every single second of the podcast. Okay. Today is a really big day in our podcasting careers, our very short podcasting careers that are probably destined to become to end very soon.
Yesterday's news by tomorrow.
Yes. But for those of you that are diehard listeners, you know that like my favorite television show ever invented, ever created, I've watched every episode 2 to 3 times, is Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I love everything about that show. I love Larry David. I have a framed photograph of Larry David on my desk at work. I do not have a framed photo of my biological human children. I do have framed photographs of my dogs and Larry David on my desk. We've reached out to Larry David multiple times. Crickets. Mm-hmm. Crickets in response.
I don't think it's going to happen.
But we did reach out to Susie Essman.
Love.
And she, of course, plays Susie on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yep.
And guess what? She is coming on I've Had It podcast, which is just like, speaking of cussing.
Oh, she's brilliant.
Try to remove the word fuck from Susie's character on Curb Your Enthusiasm. And that is nothing short of an egregious crime against the English language, acting, comedy. It would be character assassination.
It would be.
It would be.
Susie Green, to me, is one of the most admirable people on planet. Like, I want to be her in real life. She motherfucks everybody. She takes zero shit. She does exactly what the fuck she wants to do with hiding her tail of consequences.
Here's what I love. I love how when somebody pisses her off, she's just immediately, like if it's Larry, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of my house. And I just think like that's goals. We as you age, you give less fucks.
Yes.
And I think to be able to graduate to a point with friends where you can say, shut the fuck up, get the fuck out of here, and then you don't have to worry about their feelings afterward is the biggest gift you can give your friends. And the reason that Pumps and I have always been so close is we hang up on each other all the time, and there's never a follow-up.
Right.
We are not thin-skinned. We are not butthurt about shit. We don't have to come back and explain stuff. We don't take things personally. And nobody does this better than Susie Green.
No, she's a marvel. I mean, she really is one of my favorite characters on planet Earth. Mm-hmm. Life goals.
Yeah.
And the way she dresses just takes it up 5 notches on the show.
So we have a Patreon club. Those of you that haven't joined, whatever. But
you're an asshole.
We have in our chats on Patreon, we have a Curb Your Enthusiasm chat. And many of our members had never watched Curb Your Enthusiasm. So they started it. And I just feel like insane, deep-seated jealousy that they get to watch all of that for the very first time.
I know. Like they don't know what they're getting into and they get to unravel it and unwrap it like a present every time.
All right. So, I mean, this is a big day for I've Had It. A lot of people would get so excited about, maybe like some big pop star coming on. This is my, what do you call it? Roman Empire?
Yep.
This is my Roman Empire, listener. This is it. It's as close as I can get. Let's welcome Susie Essman to I've Had It. Do you suffer from having a parasocial relationship with 2 barely competent middle-aged women? If so, please go to I'veHadItPodcast.com or to any social media site. I'm talking X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, etc., and click the link in bio and come see us at the Hot Shit Tour. Make your parasocial relationship real at the Hot Shit Tour. Right, Pumps? Tell them.
It's so fun. We hope to see you there.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Pumps, doing the podcast, our other jobs, being mothers, maintaining friendships. Sometimes I just feel like I have burnout. Like I cannot face another meeting, another conversation. And I realize I'm just so disconnected from the world that I need to take the time to schedule a session with my therapist from BetterHelp. After I do it, I feel so much more centered, so much more grounded, and so much more functioning.
What I like about BetterHelp is I do the sessions in the privacy of my own home where I'm comfortable and uninhibited.
You know, I've benefited so much from my therapist at BetterHelp. Listener, if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapist at any time for no additional charge. Find your social sweet spot with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/hadit today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/hadit. All right, Susie, welcome to I've Had It. I have to tell you, my favorite show on the planet ever since it started is Curb Your Enthusiasm. I've watched every episode 2 to 3 times. I am a diehard fan. It is like tap the vein. It is like a narcotic drug for me. That's how much I love this series that you're in. So
Well, I
having you
like
on-
hearing that.
It's so good. I mean, she started me on it like 2 years in, and we would watch it, and then the next day we'd get together and we'd recap it together. Like,
Well, what's interesting is the entire premise of the series is I've had it. I mean, that's the entire premise of the whole show.
Yes.
Larry's had it with everything, and I've had it with him.
I mean, how does it feel to just get to motherfuck everybody all the time at your job?
It's amazing. I mean, I say this all the time. I show up to work and all my friends are there. I mean, there's people there that I've known since 1983, 84. You know, it's like a whole group of us old stand-up comics. And I just scream and I yell and I tell everybody to go fuck themselves. And then they love me for it and they give me money and I go home. It's, you know.
I get such satisfaction from Susie Green, just the ass chewing of men and kicking people out of her house, and chewing her husband out. It is so incredibly satisfying to watch. It's like I get ass chewing by proxy satisfaction from that character.
Well, I think everybody's always like commenting on her language. And I really think the issue that people are really responding to with Susie is her comfort with her anger. They're just not aware that that's really the thing that they're really responding to. They think it's all the fucks and all, but it's really that she, as a woman, is so comfortable with her anger. And we're all enraged all the time. And I don't know how you were brought up, but I was brought up, you know, don't be angry, be a nice little girl. And it's like, fuck that.
I feel the exact same.
And I think we get a lot of blowback because we cuss a lot on our podcast. And I think a lot of that is still so much sexism permeates in society that women are not allowed to say fuck. And if a male comedian says fuck, nobody would dare tell him not to use that language. But when a brilliant female comedian such as yourself uses it, then, you know, the language becomes the issue. And I think you're right that as women should feel comfortable. If we want to say fuck, we get to say fuck.
And if you want to be enraged, be enraged. There's so much to be enraged about. You know, when I was coming up doing stand-up in the 80s, I was considered what they call a blue comic, which means a dirty comic, because I talked about sex. I mean, not what the women do now. Now they really go all out. But I talked about sex and I talked, you know, I would use language, whatever. But it was nothing different than what the men were doing. And for them, it was just de rigueur. And for me, I was considered a dirty comic because I was female.
Yeah. And
it's still going on.
Yeah. Okay, Susie, speaking of stuff we've had it with, you sent us a A+ stellar list of grievances. I mean, just tap the vein on these things. So let's just dive into it.
I didn't even think about them. My manager was like, come up with some things. And I just rattled them all off.
All right. So the first thing you mentioned was insincere politeness.
Oh, don't you hate that? Don't you hate that?
Hate it. We live in Oklahoma City and in the South.
Oh my God.
Insincere politeness is ubiquitous.
Have a nice day. Have a nice day. Fuck you. Have a nice day. I live in New York, and we're not really guilty of insincere politeness here. And people think we're rude. We're not rude. We're just busy. You stop me on the street and ask me directions. I'm happy to help you, but don't think I'm going to get involved in a conversation with you.
Right.
I have things to do. I got to go to the dry cleaner, for God's sake. But yeah, I hate that. I hate it with customer service. I hate it with just, in stores, wherever you are. I just hate the reality of people. I don't want people to be rude to me. That's not necessary either. But I want them to be real.
Right.
Right. And efficient. I like efficiency.
Once I was on one of those, in the airport, one of those, go trams that you walk on that goes faster. What are
Yes.
those? I don't know.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So this couple was and everybody knows the etiquette of the tram. If you're standing still, you stand to one side, and if you're walking, you go through the other side. You take the left. So this couple was taking up the whole thing, and I said, "Excuse me," because I had a flight to catch. I was getting a connection, and the woman turned to me and she said, "What happened to please?" And I lost it at her. First of all, excuse me, please is implied.
Right.
Yes.
Right? It's implied. I was very polite. I just said, "Excuse me." I don't have to say fucking please. Excuse me is implied. And you were the ones who were blocking with the poor etiquette.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. You know what? I hate it when somebody is totally the asshole and then they try to flip the script. It's like, you're the one blocking the thing. I'm not the asshole here.
Right.
You're
That's
the
right.
fucking asshole.
And I don't need an etiquette lesson from some stranger on a tram thing in an airport.
Exactly.
No, that's so gross.
Okay, you have something here that I think is probably one of the best habits ever, and we haven't discussed this. And it is a person that tells a long story with no payoff.
Put a fucking gun to my head. I can't take. Well, look, for me, I'm a comic. It's set up, punch, set up, punch. I understand not everybody is capable of doing that. But these people that tell a story. So I went to the bank and it was Saturday. Wait, maybe it was Friday. Was it Friday? Maybe it was Friday. It's totally irrelevant to the story. Nobody cares what day it was. It's like they don't know how to move it along. And then you're waiting for the payoff and there's none. There's
None.
absolutely none.
I can't tell you.
It's not knowing how to read a room. It's being not aware of who you're talking to and listen, and whether or not they're listening, or whether or not, you have these conversations with people and they have no awareness that you have no interest in what they're saying whatsoever.
Yes.
And here's what I think that is, Susie. I think that is not taking into account the feelings of the listener.
Mhm.
I can't tell you how many times I have had to sit through something and I think this person genuinely doesn't care about my feelings because they're making me sit here and listen to this boring bullshit that I can't even follow anymore. And it is ubiquitous. Everywhere you go, you've got somebody grandstanding that starts a story. And I'm always thinking, why is this relevant? Why is this interesting? Why won't you shut the fuck up?
Always.
You know what? I have a very bad habit of doing something. Is this on? Are we on video also?
Yes.
Okay. Because I have a very bad habit of going like this. Like, come on, move it.
Keep it going. We have a bad habit of land the plane. Here you go.
Yeah. Same thing.
Bring
Same
it down.
thing. And I've done it to people and it's rude. I shouldn't. But it's like, it's a narcissism, which is probably the biggest I've had it of all is narcissism.
Agree.
Totally. So in the show, when we're talking about these petty grievances that we have now, do you all contribute to those? Like, hey, Larry, this just happened to me today, and about these bad listeners and things like this.
Sometimes, not often. I mean, Larry's so good at it all by himself, and he writes all the outlines also with Jeff Schaefer, who's our EP and directs almost all the episodes. So they're pretty good on their own. But I'll mention stuff to him, and everybody will mention stuff to him over the years, funny stories that have happened, and he uses them sometimes and sometimes not. He's very good at grievances all by himself.
It seems like it.
And then I think the addition, I think it was season 6 of Leon, of JB
Yes.
Smoove. I don't know. How do you all get through those scenes? Do you sometimes just lose it and have to do another
Yes.
take?
Who loses it the most is Larry.
Really?
I mean, Larry's famous for losing it the most. He loses it a lot with me because he loves to be yelled at, which is, of course, my job on the show. But he breaks up with JB also a lot. I actually just was on the phone with him right before I started this. What's interesting about JB is we're all playing characters. None of us are who we are on the show. But with me and with Larry and Richard and Jeff, we're all kind of versions of ourselves in a way. JB is playing a complete character. It's a complete character. It's nothing like him whatsoever. And he improvises in that character with these crazy tangents he goes off on. I don't know how this man's brain works.
Like there's the one scene where he talks about Larry getting in that ass. And he's like, you get in that ass.
Tap that
Tap that ass.
And lamping and all. I mean, and it was like the perfect time to infuse something new to the show. You know, I mean, I could watch it go on and on. But one thing that I think is so brilliant about Curb is it uses humor the way I think humor is supposed to be used. It's irreverent, and you talk about race, sexuality, Trumpism, crazy shit in such a humorous, medicative way. At least for me, it is. Like, I find it so soothing.
And also, there's no political correctness on this show. It is
Right.
the most politically incorrect show and we get really, I mean, I can remember just very few instances over the 12 seasons. We get very little flack for it. And I think the reason for that is because Larry's really making fun of himself.
Right.
He's not saying this is correct. He's using himself as an example of how not to be in a certain way. And yet he tells me that he aspires to be that character.
Right.
I aspire to be Susie Green, so I can't fault it too much. I mean, I want to be Susie. Let me ask you this, because we've been talking about losing Curb. Like, this is it. Everybody knows this is it. I'm grieving it. Like, I'm saving up. I haven't watched I've watched the first 2, but I don't want to watch it because then it's over. Are you grieving the loss of Curb?
I feel at peace with it. I feel so lucky to have been doing this for all these years. And, it's 24 years that since we started. And I feel so, I don't want to sound so Pollyanna, but I feel so privileged to have been a part of this show. As an actress and a comic, I could have been cast in any crappy sitcom that lasted for 7 seasons. They just limp along, these shows. And I would have been happy to have the job, and I would have taken it, and I would have gotten the money I needed to live a life. But I got to be on a show that I actually watch and I actually respect. And that, I mean, it's just 1 in a million that you get to have that experience.
Right.
What is your favorite episode of the series?
I have a lot, but I would say probably the doll, because that's from season 2. And that's the first time Susie's really established.
Right.
Her character is really established. And it's really established that Jeff and Larry live in fear of her. And it's the first time they use that spaghetti Western music.
Yes.
Coming up. So it's that's probably my favorite. And it's such a perfect episode. It's a perfect half hour of comedy. If you watch that, you just see how it all, I mean, Larry's such a master of the comeback, the callback, and weaving everything together in his puzzle. But this is just, it's just anybody who wants to be a comedy writer should study that episode.
It's so good. I love that episode. And another favorite scene, and I just wanted to know if you improvised this or was it planned that you say this? And it's where Jeff beats off, and I think it's like Seder or something. It's some Jewish holiday. He beats off. Larry goes to confront him. And of course, you always overhear those two up to all their fuckery. And you storm in there and you go, "Your semen left this house? That's cheating. That's infidelity."
That was all improvised.
That
was all improvised.
Brilliant.
And I remember that scene. I remember Larry said, somehow you have to get to kicking me out of the house and banning me from your house. So I was like, all right, how am I going to do that? And then I just came up with the idea that, well, Cheryl's banning Jeff. Well, I'm banning Larry. You just make this shit up. And all of that he was cheating, that was all me. That was all improvised. Most of it is, we get an outline.
Okay.
And the outline is very detailed in the sense of story, what has to happen for story. But there's no dialogue written. Almost all the dialogue is us improvising, unless there's like a line or something that's necessary to get out for story purposes.
Right.
Then it's written. But other than that, it's all improvised.
Do you table read?
No. We not only do we not table read, we don't do any rehearsal. We'll do a camera block in the beginning, for each scene, but we purposely don't speak until the cameras are actually rolling. So that the moment we start, it's all fresh and improv, and none of us know what each other's going to say.
And so you have a like, this is what needs to be established in this scene, like a premise.
Correct.
Okay.
A premise. We have a premise, and we know where we have to start, and we usually know what information has to come out, and we know where we have to end.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great stuff that's cut out because it doesn't serve the story. Larry's all about story. That's
Right.
That's his brilliance. It's all about story.
Pumps, have you been using the Cozy Earth sheets?
Oh my gosh, yes. The bamboo sheets are to die for.
I cannot get enough of them. I've ordered a second set so that while one's being laundered, I have another set on my bed. It makes sense that their slogan is soft as a mother's touch. Cozy Earth offers bedding products that will transform your sleep. Use code HADIT for 35% off at cozyearth.com. Cozy Earth bedding is temperature regulating, and it has superior softness, unparalleled fabrics, materials, and weave. And get this, Pumps, all products come with a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. Incorporating Cozy Earth products into your self-care routine can enhance your sleep quality and overall wellness. Treat yourself to the ultimate in comfort and indulgence with Cozy Earth bedding and sleepwear, and prioritize your self-care and sleep health. You deserve it. Again, that promo code is HADIT for 35% off at cozyearth.com. Soft as a mother's touch. Pumps, spring has sprung, and I am wearing my pickleball skirts every single day during my matches, which means my legs have got to be free of stubble. The razors I usually use have like goopy mess after one try. They don't work as well after 3 tries. That's why I want to introduce you to Athena Club. There's 3 points I want to tell you about. First of all, it's their quality. Athena's Club razors glide so effortlessly thanks to 5 precision engineered blades. There's a super moisturizing water-activated serum with hyaluronic acid. Plus, it has built-in skin guards that help prevent razor burn and reduce irritation. Secondly, it's the price. These razors are just $10, but don't let the price fool you. The quality is out of this world. Thirdly is the magnetic hook. You get the same game-changing magnetic hook for easy storage. No more goopy blades and much better organization. Listener, get ready to upgrade your shaving experience. Switch to the best razor on the market and show your skin that you care with Athena Club. Head over to athenaclub.com to try their award-winning razor and body products and get 20% off your purchase with code HADIT at checkout. You can also find Athena Club razors at your local Target store. Trust me, you will not look back. Happy shaving. Okay, we want to play a game with you called Had It or Hit It. So I'm going to list some things and you tell us if you don't like it, you will have had it. And if you like it, you will hit it.
Okay.
Oh my God. Welcome to Had It or Hit It. I would hit it.
Had it.
Had it. I hit it every day, sometimes twice a day. All right, the first thing is Trump has now released the God Bless the USA Bible.
How dare this man have anything to do with the Bible?
Agree.
You remember that scene where he was at, I forgot the name of that area by the White House, and he's holding reading the Bible upside down?
Yes.
What a dick.
Listen, people can vote for him. They could do whatever they want, but don't pretend he's something he's not. He has no ideology. He has no fealty to religion or any of the things that the people who are voting for him believe. None whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely none. We had Michael Cohen, his former lawyer, on the podcast.
Michael Cohen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Michael.
And we asked him because he worked with him. They were best friends for years. And I said, is Trump a Christian? Does he believe in God? And he said, no.
No.
Yeah.
He believes in money is all he believes in.
Yeah.
And himself.
Exactly.
himself.
So had it.
Had it.
Okay. Had it or hit it. Millennial corporate group speak, like, we'll workshop that and let me circle back.
Oh, nauseous over that. So had it. So had it. It's, just so had it with the psychobabble and that's again the false politeness in a certain way.
It is.
It is.
It's another version of that.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Okay, I hate to do this to you, but I have to. Had it or hit it, RFK Jr.
Had it.
Yeah.
Had it. Listen, I obviously know Bobby. He's married to Cheryl, and I love Cheryl. Cheryl is a great girl. One thing I'll say about Bobby, as opposed to Trump, what we were just saying about him, Bobby does believe what he says.
Right.
He has an ideology, and he believes. I disagree with some things. I agree with him about, actually, but I disagree with a lot of what he says. But he is a true believer, so I accept that more than I accept the narcissism of this other guy who is just about, wanting to prove to people that he's got a huge, huge penis when clearly.
Oh my God, Susie, I say that all the time. He has a size problem. It's
huge
obvious.
Size problem.
Huge.
Yes, clearly. Anybody who has to, there was more people there than ever existed in the face of this universe. I had the biggest. That is somebody with a really tiny dick. I'm sorry. That's just a fact.
Oh my gosh.
We agree. We got called out maybe a couple episodes ago. We get called out all the time. Right. We have super thick skin. But they said you cannot body shame men with little penises. And here's what I have to say in response to that. When the vagina is on equal footing with the penis, I will quit criticizing the penis. But until then, the teeny weeny is on the table.
But it's not just, and I agree with that, but it's not really the literal size.
Right.
It could be an inadequate, it could be whatever. It's a feeling. It's like small dick behavior is not literal small dick. He might have a huge cock for all I know, but it's small dick behavior, which is his feeling about himself, his inadequacy.
Yeah.
This must be an extremely unhappy, miserable man.
Oh, yeah. Well,
his quiet moments.
Angie's full-time hobby is living in her curated liberal algorithm online. Mm-hmm. So she's listened to all these Stormy Daniels appearances on podcasts and on shows. And Stormy goes into great detail about Donald's penis. And it is a little
teeny little peenie with a mushroom top. Ugh. Oh, I know, it's revolting.
Had it with that.
I've had it with that.
Okay. Had it or hit it, pet etiquette.
Well, again, I live in New York. I would have to say both in a way, because one of my pet peeves, and I will walk up to people and say something, is when they do not pick up their dog's poop.
Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, I have a dog. Every coat that I have has baggies in it. Like I pull out, it's just there. And I would never not pick up his poop on the streets of New York for somebody else to step in. It's just it's horrible. But here's the other etiquette thing. I mean, in New York, we're all on top of each other. And if I have my dog out and he is in the middle of pooping and somebody comes along with their dog and they let their dog come over and sniff him, leave the poor kid alone.
Agreed.
He's trying to take a dump. Don't bring your dog over to sniff at him while he's trying to take a dump.
That is rude.
That is rude.
Poor pet etiquette.
All right. Had it or hit it, cussing.
Oh, I could never have had it with that. I mean, I can't get enough of it.
Me too.
Same.
Unless it's gratuitous. I mean, there were comics back in the old days and even now, which every other word was motherfucker and fuck. And it has to have a meaning. You take the meaning away from it. Cursing is an interesting thing because you guys say cussing because you're from Oklahoma City. I'm from New York City. Because when people will use euphemisms and they'll say, freaking and blah, blah, the intent and the meaning is the same. Mm-hmm. So what's the difference?
Right. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
The anger is there. The intent is there. If they want to say fuck you, but instead they say, screw you or something, they're still telling you to go fuck yourself. So what's if they use the word or not?
So true.
Exactly.
And I kind of in my mind think, are you too big of a pussy to say it?
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to say fuck you and you say screw you, I'm like, you're kind of a pussy.
Yeah.
Kind of are.
Okay. Had it or hit it, Larry David.
Oh, hit it. I love Larry. I love him more than anything. First of all, he's one of my closest friends. He's given up. See, I just look at my text. There he is. He's given me a career. He was the only man that knew how to use me, really. And every season, I just get the outlines, and there's like one funny thing for me after another. He just gives me the funniest stuff to do, and he's the reason why, as an actress and a comic, why I love doing Curb so much is that I'm part of the creative process in a way that you're not when you just get a script. I mean, you interpret a script and, you do a character, but not in the same way as with Curb, where I get to write all my own lines. So it's such a collaborative, creative process. And Larry, the question I get asked more than any other question is Larry really like his character? And I will tell you unequivocally, no. He's the most generous, kind, loyal, incredibly loyal friend that you could ever have.
I figured that he probably was that, and that I think Larry does what we all want to do in our minds, what we do in our minds all the time, like, oh, shut the fuck up. And you want to call people out that are sample abusers, and you want to tell, you want to do all of this.
You want to run into somebody on the street and they say, let's have lunch. You want to say, we're never going to have lunch. Let's go through this charade and give each other our info. And that's when I say he aspires to be that character. He thinks all those things, but he doesn't act on them. He's too sensitive to other people's feelings. And another thing you have to realize is he's our boss. He's our leader. And same thing with Seinfeld all those years. He was the showrunner. So when you have hundreds of people that work under you, you can't be that jerk that his character is.
Yeah.
And the crew is so loyal to him. They drop everything to come back to Curb and work at Curb. They leave other jobs because they're so loyal to him, because he's such a great person to work for.
Oh, that's nice to hear. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
But that is nice to hear. I can't wait to start your new podcast with Jeff
At
Garland.
A history of Curb Your Enthusiasm. We start from we start at the pilot, and then we go through every season. So far, we've recorded 50 something because we've gone through season 5. And it's interesting to go back and watch all the episodes because they really hold up.
They do.
I just watched the Palestinian chicken episode the other day.
Oh, how brilliant was that one?
Which it's just as funny. Every Curb Your Enthusiasm episode is just as funny the 4th or 5th time as it was the first time, because it's so clever. You guys are so organically, naturally funny. I mean, you're genuinely funny people.
Bob Einstein, who also has died, was so funny in that episode, who played Marty Funkhouse.
Oh, yes, he was great.
I mean, so brilliant. Some of these are hard for me personally to go back and look. Like right after Richard died, there was an episode that he was in a lot, and I couldn't watch it. I just couldn't watch it. It was too painful. But I'll go back and watch it, maybe in a few weeks or something. But it's having been on the air for so many years, we've been through people dying, people getting married, divorces, remarriage, children, grandchildren. We've all been through so much together, and we're very much a family.
You can tell. I mean, I think that having watched every episode of Curb, you can tell that there is an organic, genuine care that you all have for each other. Even though you're acting, you wouldn't have that chemistry if there wasn't respect. Chemistry is something I think that you spot in people that they have, and you guys have such organic chemistry on screen.
And then what Larry did, I mean, you talked about he brought J.B. Smoove in. And then, of course, after Bobby died, he brought in Vince Vaughn.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You can't replace Bob. the Marty Funkhauser was such a singular character,
Oh.
but you bring in another layer. And then he brought Tracy in, Tracy Ullman, who is just genius beyond.
I couldn't figure out who that was. I was like, who is playing Irma? And then when it was Tracy, I was like, what?
Oh, God. I had lunch with her a few months ago, and she's got this long, gorgeous, lustrous hair. And she walks in the restaurant. I'm like, I didn't even know who it was. She wasn't in that horrifying Irma wig.
It's awful.
It's like people who see me dressed as a normal person, but they're not used to me. They're in a state of shock. That's how I was seeing Tracy walk into the restaurant.
Susie's wardrobe is something we haven't even discussed,
Oh,
but it is so good.
Yeah.
It just rounds out the character,
Yeah.
and the pride that Susie has in being a fashionista is just an
yeah.
extra layer.
Susie believes that she has the greatest taste in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
And Cheryl has no pizzazz whatsoever, and every season it's gotten more and more and more over the top.
Yes.
And Larry said to me this season, he goes, I don't even say anything anymore. Like there was in the past, he would say, all right, you gone too far. He said, I don't even say anything anymore. You just, and it's funny because when I go into my trailer and I change and I walk onto set and everybody's waiting each day to see the Susie outfit. It's like a deal when I walk onto set. And I just walk out like, hi, everybody. And it's a crazy outfit. And for me, as an acting thing, it's just I put on those outfits and I just become her.
Right.
Yeah,
That's great.
it is so good. I think Pumps had a couple of questions she was going to ask you about Susie.
Okay. So you said Larry's super different from his character. What about Susie? So couple social situations I wanted to ask you about. So if you're on an airplane and somebody takes their shoes off, how does Susie Green react versus Susie Essman?
They take their shoes off and socks.
Yeah, so like we're barefooted.
Yeah. Unless their feet were sticking into my area, I do find it absolutely repulsive, but I wouldn't say anything. Susie Green would say something.
Susie would totally say something.
She is much bolder and brasher than I am. The only thing that really gets me, Susie Essman, going that I get really angry at is, really bad customer service. I've been known to lose it at really bad customer service.
Susie, I have too. See, like I want to be Susie Green when I grow up. Yeah. So this is just making me so happy. I'm like elated on cloud nine. I will do it in a nice way, but I will Karen customer service a little bit.
Yeah. I have gone Susie Green on customer service. One time I had, and I've gone Susie Green on each of my kids at least once when they were teenagers.
Oh,
not
for
anymore.
Sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But how could you not?
How could you not? Absolutely.
But one time I was having a cable issue, and it's always cable. Cable's the worst. And my internet was down, and I kept calling. I called maybe 7 or 8 times, and I'm not exaggerating. They kept on saying it's fixed. And finally, I just lost it at the woman because it wasn't fixed, and I'm trying to do work. I can't function without being able to go online. And she was like, all right, calm down. Let me have your name again. I gave her my name. She goes, you have the same name as that actress. And then suddenly, and I had been screaming at the top of my lungs. And so I changed my voice. I'm like, yeah, I hear that all the time. And I pretended I was a completely different person. And there are certain restaurants that I could not go into anymore in New York City because I've made a scene.
Oh, the plot just keeps thickening.
God, I love this woman.
Loose lips are sinking ships on I've had it today.
I love that.
Well, Susie, I cannot thank you enough. This is so surreal and so awesome to meet you in person. And I cannot tell you how much joy that show, your character has brought to my life. And I know so many other people. It is, in my opinion, the best comedy show ever made in the history of television. I agree.
For sure.
And you two are adorable. You're lovely.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on. We've loved having you.
It was fun. I get to kvetch. That's all I care as I live to kvetch in life.
All right. Bye, Susie.
Bye, Susie. Thank you.
Bye, Oklahoma City.
Bye.
Bye. Susie is everything to me.
She over-delivered. Like where she is in my mind, you would think that pinnacle would be so high, you can't reach the top. She over-delivered.
And that is hard to do because we had the highest of expectations for her, and she walked in here and exceeded them.
It's unbelievable.
And here's the thing. We're not that gracious of people, so we genuinely mean that she exceeded expectations.
In spades.
Totally.
I mean, she was everything I wanted her to be and more.
Totally.
She's funny. She's irreverent. I mean, she is fabulous.
And the New York accent.
It's fantastic.
Get the fuck out of here.
And we had a lot of kindred spirit things. I'm kind of feeling good about myself.
I kind of feel like, I mean, she's probably going to be like, oh, they were cute from Oklahoma. I kind of feel like she's my friend.
I want her to be my friend.
Yeah. I forgot to promote, you brought it up, but she has a podcast, everybody, called The History of Curb Your Enthusiasm, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you haven't watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, just please stop listening to our podcast.
Go watch it.
Or go start it, because it is the best comedy show in the history of television forever. And her character is nothing short of complete goals, probably one of the best television characters ever.
Absolutely. I mean, she is goals city. Love Susie Essman. Love Susie Green. Love them both.
That's right. All right. Stay tuned. For those of you that are members of Patreon, join us in our after show that starts right now on Patreon, and hit our link in bio to buy merch and to come see us on tour. Pumps Tell 'em.
We will see you next Tuesday or Thursday or both.